Okay, so welcome. And today is Fun with Stick today. And so we're going to be using a stick as a prop today for our mat class. Let's go ahead and just lay down on your back. For spine safe, we'll of course go to one side, roll onto your back. If you need a pillow for under your head to keep your neck from back bending too much, put that in there. And then that would mean you would just not lift your hips very high. And if you have any bone density loss, of course, you're going to not lift your hips high anyway. And we'll have our knees bent and our feet flat on the mat. And we'll just start off with a little bit of fingertip abdominals. So we just place our hands wide across the belly, take a breath. And as we exhale, pull your navel in, softly pull up the pelvic floor, and then float one leg up. And if you want to add another leg, go ahead, or you can just march one leg at a time. And then from here, we can begin doing our toe taps. So your thigh moves away from you in this. Sometimes we want to, make it a little easier, or just kind of move our leg, and that's not it. So the point is that we're finding a place where we can challenge our abdominals and just kind of warm up our sense of how we're using our innermost supporting deepest abdominals, what Joseph Pilates called the powerhouse, what's termed as the scoop. And so we'll just do a couple more of our either marching or toe taps, and then go ahead and bring your knees into your chest. Hold on to each knee with its own hand and try practicing the rounded arm. And take your knees around in mirror image circles. And we're just sort of warming up our hips and our spine and just breathing. So I'll go the other direction. It's a beautiful day and we're here together, and so taking care of ourselves. Let's go ahead and pull your knees in toward your chest, take a breath, and then go ahead and float your feet down onto the mat. Now let's take our stick in our hands, hold palms down and hold fairly wide, like wider than your shoulders with your elbows straight. We'll reach the stick up toward the ceiling and then pull your shoulder blades down onto the mat. So we'll just do that a few times. So this is our shoulder slaps. So we're just finding the set of our shoulder blades, and we're also exercising important muscles that help our shoulders stay strong and stable. Okay, so one more time, and pull your shoulder blades down onto the mat like you're kind of standing on them, and then pull into belly. Press through the soles of your feet, engage your gluteals, and lift your hips. So again, if you have bone density loss, you're not lifting very high. If you don't have that going on, you can lift up as high as you're comfortable. See if you can keep your legs tracking parallel. So you can't really see them, right? If you're lifted up, if your head is down, but just see if you can get a sense of whether if your weight on your feet is staying the same. If you've got your big toe ball joint, we'll just keep lifting up and down here, pressing into the mat as much as your heel and your pinky toe side of your foot. You have a pretty good chance of having your leg in a better alignment. So you can feel if you're rolling onto the outside of your foot. So let's go ahead and practice lifting up as a plank. So lifting up in a straight line and then rolling down, and just taking good care to roll down. If you have a disc herniation or a disc derangement, just plank down. We don't want to roll down in that case. But if you don't have that, your spine is not loaded and you can safely roll on down and just find some length. Let's do one more. Lift up and roll down. Very nice. Now, we're going to do 100 next, and there's a couple different ways we can position this stick. One would be legs down flat and moving our arms up and down. This is our most gentle version. And then the next one would be to place the stick underneath our legs, and we would be in tabletop and we could be going here. And then to make it more challenging, we could have our legs extended out and be on top of the legs again. Okay, so you get to pick. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. This feels pretty good today to have the stick underneath my legs. And we'll inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you do not have bone density loss and you want to go ahead and take your head, neck, and shoulders up, place your tongue on the roof of the mouth, look down towards your thighs, nod your head, and you'll come on up. And it's important that you're able to come up to about your bra strap line so that your head is up on top of your neck and not somewhere back behind. You see, if your head is kind of dropping back behind your neck, then that can just kind of strain the neck. So we're inhaling on 5, exhaling on 5. If you tried the head lift and you decided that wasn't your cup of tea today, then you go ahead and put your head back down. We can change the type of leg position and where the stick is. And we'll do one more set of an inhale on 5 and one more set of an exhale on 5. And then go ahead and bring your knees in and just take your legs together around in a circle. Okay, so just circle around the edges of the sacrum. Perfect. Let's go the other direction. Just keep breathing. Perfect. We'll hug our knees in again, take a breath, and then release feet back down onto the mat. Now let's go ahead and take our stick again, bring it up over your chest, and set your shoulder blades down your back. Okay? So a gentle version of our single leg stretch would be to keep one foot down, bring one foot in, bring the stick over your shin, and extend one leg as you bring the stick slightly overhead, just to about maybe forehead height, okay? And we could do a few there and then switch. If you want a little bit more challenging version, then you go ahead and pick both legs up and bring the stick slightly overhead again as you extend one leg at a time, okay? So we'll just choose which variation we want to do. It's single leg extension with slight arm overhead of the stick, and we're breathing. We're just challenging our ability to hold our place on the mat. And if you're choosing the single leg down, one leg extension version, make sure that you change legs about now if you haven't already. And we'll keep breathing. The height of your leg in the room determines your ab work. So we want to make sure that we're, being careful about the height of the leg and versus how much work we're getting, making sure that our back is not lifting and bucking away on the mat here. Right? We want to be stable. And one more on each side if you're doing double leg, finish up. And we'll place the stick over our shins and just pull our shins in and out just by bending and straightening the elbows for a minute. So just a little rocking here, a little bit of a cat-cow movement in the sacrum. Okay, one more breath and rest, and then we'll go ahead and bring our arms up over our chest, and the knees are in a long distance, okay? You can have feet down as well and do only the upper body variation if you want. Both legs extend away and the arms come overhead to about forehead height. So you see, you don't, and then bring them in. You don't need to straighten your legs all the way on this. So it's double the weight, so you can stay with a bent knee. It can be a micro movement, just enough to really get into your low abs, or you can go all the way out and all the way in, right? Double leg, double arm. And if you're practicing with your feet on the floor, you're just practicing keeping your back ribs down on the mat and pulling in your belly, okay? So something for everybody. Again, the height of your legs in the room determines your work. So higher in the room if you're feeling like it's any kind of strain, lower if you feel like you need more work. Okay, one more. Perfect. And then we'll go ahead and float our feet down. Let's set the stick down for a moment. And I'm going to just put it underneath my legs, get it out of the way. Open your arms out to the side and take your knees over to one side and give ourselves a little stretch. And we'll just keep breathing here. Nice warmth in the belly now from our ab work so far. And then we'll exhale through center, inhale off to the other side. Give ourselves a little stretch. See if you can do this stretch and keep both shoulder blades on the mat. So some of us will be more flexible than others. Not necessary to have your legs resting on the floor if you're tight in the chest, right? Your legs may not make it to the floor. And one more on each side, pull into belly, squeeze your legs together, off to the first side, take a couple of breaths. And then exhale through center, inhale off, second time on the second side. Then we open up our chest, open up our breathing. And exhale back to center. Let's bring our arms back in and lift and lower our hips to organize our spines. Okay. Make sure the back of the neck is long. We'll take our stick again, bring it up over our chest and pull your shoulder blades down. Now, right leg comes up to tabletop. Left leg can stay bent, standing on the mat. The right leg extends long, and let's do 5 small circles in each direction with your right leg. So feel your belly working and see if it's possible to keep the left leg from splaying outward as your leg goes off to stage right. All right, and let's go ahead and go the other direction. And then also look at what your upper body's doing. So the stick provides a reference point here to see if we are moving through our shoulders and arms. And 5, good. Take that right leg, place your ankle on top of your thigh and pull your left heel in for a figure 4 stretch. If you need more, you could pass the stick underneath and just kind of grab onto the stick underneath your left thigh and pull yourself in even more. Maybe we do an underhanded few little biceps curls here, right? Just kidding. Not really, but anyway, let's go ahead and take a few breaths. One more breath. And then we'll release down. We'll unwind. Bring the stick back up over your chest. Pull your shoulder blades down. Right leg stays bent. Left leg comes to tabletop, straightens up toward the sky. And we do 5 little circles in each direction. So use the stick as a framework to organize your upper body. Make sure that you're not splaying your right leg outward. 4 and 5. Keep breathing. Feel the belly work of keeping yourself stable on the mat. 3, 4, and 5. And then place the left ankle atop the right thigh. Pull your leg in. You can try the little trick with the stick underneath the thigh if you need more. Just keep breathing. So it takes about 20 seconds for a stretch to really be effective. So we want to make sure that we hold our stretches for long enough that they actually get to do their work. And one more breath. And we'll unwind. Beautiful job. Now, if it's okay with you to straighten one leg down as you bring the other leg up, do that. If that's not okay, keep the left leg bent. So right leg to the sky, left leg long if you can, stick is up. Now, we'll go ahead and bring our right leg down, keeping both, keep your right leg straight and bring it off to the side and come back up. So now we're making a large capital letter D. And your hip may roll, okay? And that's okay. You can roll your hip. If you've had a hip replacement on your right side, then you need to stay with making this ginormous letter D in your room. Okay, so not crossing midline. If you're okay crossing midline, you have your original hip, you can go ahead and cross over and turn the gigantic letter D into an O. Okay, so, and in all cases, no matter what you're doing, see if you can maintain the stability of your upper body. So using the stick to organize your upper body so that the shoulders stay connected with the mat. And one more this direction. And let's go ahead and go the other direction. So letter D with a hip replacement on your working right leg, or an O if you've not had a hip replacement. 3. And just keep breathing. So keep your legs straight. So often the leg gets a little tired in these sometimes, and the knee wants to give in. So we're working our quad a lot in this movement. Quad's very important. It's your thigh, front thigh muscle. And last one, beautiful job. Float your right leg down and then bring your arms and your stick all the way overhead and just stretch out long. So if your back is okay with both legs being flat, just stretch out long. If it's not, then your left leg is still bent and you're stretching the right leg that was just working. Okay? And breathing. And then we'll bring our arms back up overhead, bend both legs, both feet on the mat. We'll lift and lower our hips to organize our spines. And if you're okay with stretching out your right leg long, like you're standing, go ahead. If you're not, you keep the leg bent, left leg to the sky. Okay, so we start with our mirror image, capital letter D. Trace down the middle and then scoop around to the outside. So feel the rotation of your hips now. As you're going around to the side, your hips kind of follow the leg, and that's okay. That is sort of a controlled mobility that we're working on. And then if you have not had a hip replacement on your left hip, you can go ahead and cross over and make the letter O instead of the letter D. And the D is mirror image in this case, of course. I used to teach a group of teachers and staff in our local school district after hours in the multi-purpose rooms. That was always interesting, what was on the floor in there. And it was a lot of fun, like just playing around with letters and numbers while I was teaching. And let's go ahead and go the other direction. So remembering to use the stick as your framework for organization. Don't give in to the left knee. The left knee is going to want to bend at some point. Try your best to keep it super straight. Work your quad. Work the connection of your leg into your body. You can feel the leg starts actually right below your rib cage. And 2 more. Your spine is rotating gently. Your shoulders are staying on the mat. And then when we're done there, we'll just bring the left leg down and stretch out long. So if your leg was bent, your right leg would stay bent, left leg stretch, or both legs stretch out, arms overhead. And we'll just stretch long. Take a couple of breaths here. So that was nice work. All right, very good. So now let's go ahead and put the stick down for a moment. So I'm just going to slide it underneath my legs. Okay. And we will be choosing head up or head down in the next exercise. Head down if you have bone density loss or disc issues. Take your left leg behind the thigh in both hands, and your hands are not clasped. Round your elbows out so your shoulder blades can stay down. Choose head up or head down. So if you're choosing head up, you're looking down towards your belly. Then everybody extends the right leg long, okay? So press your leg into your hands and pull your leg with your hands and then switch. So we have our single long leg stretch here. We're just gonna go back and forth. If your head is down, because you need to keep your bones safe, right? The height of the room that your legs are traveling in is it's a little higher, like your legs are traveling higher in the room. Okay, so when you come up into an upper body lift, you know, if you're safe doing that, you can find that your legs are able to travel a little bit lower. Okay, so just keeping that in mind. And let's do one more on each side. And then take your knees into your hands, take your legs around in big mirror image circles, guiding the knees with your hands. And we'll go the other direction. Good. All right. Let's do one more ab exercise before we change positions. So zipping up your thighs, bring your legs up together in the room and see if you can get them straight and squeeze them together. If it feels like you need the extra support, you can slide your hands underneath your hips here, okay? And then you'll take your legs around in a circle in one direction and then go around in a circle in the other direction. If you don't feel like you need the support of your hands under your bum, you can just have them next to you and pressing down into the mat. So we'll do 4 sets, one direction, the other direction, and one direction, the other direction, and we'll finish up our sets. Bring your knees into your chest, and now take your knees around in circles in one direction, just 2 or 3 times in the other direction, just guiding with your hands. Perfect job. So a little corkscrew in our morning. All right, real good. So now let's take our stick, take it to the side, and come onto your side. So we'll be laying down in a neutral spine. So your head is supported on your arm and your bottom arm. And from the crown of the head through your tailbone, you're lined up with the back of your mat. Now we'll go ahead and take our legs long and then bring your legs slightly forward so you have a little bit of a bend at the hip. Okay, good. So now let's go ahead and take our stick and your palm is facing front, same as your face. Bring your fist up toward the sky and just your stick is held in parallel with your body. Bring your top leg up, good, and flex both feet. Press your bottom leg into the mat. Now, when you bring your top leg up, you're going to just hold it at hip height and make some circles here. Okay, so little bitty circles. And since we are not supporting ourselves with our top arm on the mat, you're going to need to make them a little smaller and use a little bit more belly, I think, to hold yourself stable. Let's go the other direction. And just notice that as you're holding the stick, you know, there's a little subtle movement happening in your shoulder. So we're directly working in a very subtle way on your rotator cuff. Instead of moving the arm, right, we're moving our body. Your body responds to the movement of your leg. Okay, that was good. Let's go ahead and lower that down. And we'll put the stick down. And then we'll use our spider fingers on the mat. Now, let's bend the bottom leg. Good. And then lift up the top leg. Right. So bring your top leg forward with your foot flats, point your toe, and bring the top leg back. And bring it forward and bring it back. So you're trying to stay at hip height. We'll do about 10 here. So this is 3. So that's a lot, right? So if you get tired before 10, you can go ahead and rest your hip, especially if you have any kind of bursitis or other soft tissue stuff going on. You don't want to heat it up too much. And 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. Nice job. Okay, we'll stack our legs and just give ourselves a little bit of a Pilates massage here, kind of cool things down. All right. And then from here, keeping your feet together and keeping your hips stacked. So let's place our hand on our hips to make sure we don't roll back. We'll lift the top knee and then lower it down. So simple clams. And we'll just do these. These are different muscles in your glute. They're your external or lateral rotators. And so in our glutes, our 9 glutes that we have, they all work together, you know, functionally for walking, sitting up and down, squatting, you know. All right, so we just work a little bit on the glutes here, working against gravity. Let's give ourselves a little time to strengthen here. All right, we could do this one all day, but we'll just do 2 more instead. And go ahead and rest that. Now, keeping your legs bent and stacked, just press up until you're on your forearm and you have your elbow right below your shoulder. So we'll start going into a little bit of a side support progression here. So we can start off just simply pushing the floor away. That'll be enough for some of us, especially if you're healing your bottom shoulder. If you need more, once you've got your position established, you can lift your hips, you can straighten your legs and lift up from the side of your feet. Okay, so it's up to you. If you prefer being on your hand, you can certainly come on down and just come back up from your hand. So we'll just stay here and breathe and think about the strength that we're building in our bodies, smile about it, take one more breath, and keep your abs about you as you float back down. Okay, and let's go ahead and flip over to the other side. So we'll take our stick with us and we'll line ourselves up again. Head on the head on your bottom arm. Get this to where we can. Okay. And you're lined up with your mat, head to tail. Your legs are slightly in front of you, right? And then we'll take our stick, palm forward, reach it up. The stick is lined up with your body. We'll press down into the mat with our bottom leg, bring our top leg up, keep both legs flexed, and we'll do little tiny circles while we're holding onto the stick. So again, we're just holding steady in our torso. We're making the circles small because we're asking our abdominals or keep ourselves stable. And there's that subtle movement of the trunk that translates up into the shoulder and the arm. And we know we're strengthening our rotator cuff in a very subtle way. And we'll go the other direction. And 7, 8, 9, 10, good. And then we'll bring the stick down, bring your hand down, bend the bottom leg. We've got our bottom leg pressing into the mat, top leg at hip height. And from here, foot is flexed as we bring our leg forward, point your toe and bring your leg back for 10. So we're keeping our hips stacked, shoulders stacked, and the leg is traveling at hip height. And of course, you know, 10's a big number. So again, if your hip feels like it gets too uncomfortable, if you're healing any soft tissue thing like a bursitis, for example, you can rest before we get to 10, but we're almost there now. And here you go. And we'll go ahead and stack our legs and then hand on the hip. So we can keep ourselves from rolling back and keep ourselves honest here and just lift the knee and lower the knee for simple clams. So we keep breathing, keep smiling, working on those all important glutes. 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we did 12 on the other side, so might as well keep going for that last 2. Good job. And we've got our little Pilates massage. And then we'll go ahead and press up into our side support position. So we have shoulder and elbow lined up, hips are stacked, push the floor away. And if you need more, come up. And if you need more than that, straighten your legs, come up more. Okay. If that feels like it loads the bottom shoulder too much, just come back down to your knees. Okay. So it's interesting. Some days are, your body will feel different, right? So some days you may have body parts that are, they're like fine doing a certain movement. The next day, maybe, you dial it back a little bit or rev it up a little bit. Let's go ahead and keep our abs engaged and lower on down. Nicely done. All right. So let's go ahead and come up to sitting. Okay. Got our stick. So in a sitting position, if you're comfortable sitting with your legs straight, yay. But if that makes your back flex, not so hot, right? So you can keep your knees bent if you need to. And our stick will be in our hands again. I'm just going to face you so you can see the choreography. So we've got our stick in our hands, shoulders are down, take a breath, and then exhale, pull into your belly and just lean back a little bit. So it's a flat back hinge. And then from here, lower the stick and raise the stick. Okay, so you can feel that the raising and lowering of the stick changes the work that's in your abdominals, right? So, and 6, we want to make sure we don't go too high because that'll pull us out of our abs a bit, right? And 1 more. Perfect job. And then come up tall. Okay, so that was good. So we were in a flat back hinge and working with our raising and lowering of the stick. So now we're going to take another breath, pull into belly, and just lean back enough that you feel your abs begin to work. Stick is out front. Okay, so we're going to bring it down once, bring it off to the side, bring it up to the side, bring it to the middle high, about forehead height, off to the other side high, low to the side, and to center. Okay, opposite direction, down to the side, up to the side, middle, about forehead height, off to the side, down to the side, and middle. And let's come on up tall. Nicely done. That was stop sign. So we'll take a couple of breaths. If you need to stretch, you can hinge forward from your hips and a flat back. Okay, just kind of take a moment. And then we'll come up tall and bring your stick in front of you and take a breath, pull into belly and hinge back. Good. And then make some circles. So we'll do 5 in each direction. Your body's not moving, just your arms. But as you move your arms around in the circle, keeping your stick parallel, you can feel that your abs have to respond to that. And then we'll go ahead and change directions. Good, and then we'll come on up tall. Beautiful job. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and go sideways from you so you can see what we're doing with the stick. This is gonna be fun. Okay, we've not done this with our stick before, but let's go ahead and place the stick underneath your thighs and pull your shoulders down. So you have a little bit of a bend in your elbows to keep your chest lifted. Now zip up your inner thighs and just lean back enough that you find your abs working, okay? Now, keeping your thighs squeezed together, lift one leg. Use the stick on your thighs to pull your chest open. So you've got an isometric now that's a postural hold, and you're lengthening your leg and your thighs are in the same parallel place. Okay, good. And then lower that down, come up, take a breath. Exhale, lean back. Okay, squeeze your thighs together, extend the other leg. Use your stick on your thighs to pull your shoulder blades down your back. Good, and hold. And come on up. Good. So now set the stick aside. Hold on to the backs of our thighs with our hands, rounded elbows, please. Pull your shoulder blades down and lean back enough that you feel your abs working. Keep your thighs parallel like before. Extend one leg. Turn your toes out. Good. Now, if you can let go of your legs without your back flexing, do that. And we'll hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grab your legs, bring your leg down, come forward, hold on to your ankles, and pull your chest forward and flat back. Take another breath. We've got to do the other leg. Okay, and then hands behind your thighs, zip up your thighs, lift your chest. Lean back enough to feel your abs begin to work. Extend the other leg, turn your toes out, squeeze your thighs together, and if you can let go without your back changing, do it. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, keep your chest high, 4, 3, 2, 1, grab your legs, come on in, hold onto your ankles and pull your heart forward. Wow, that was fun. And let's go ahead and bring the stick around to the front of the mat, and we'll come onto our hands and knees. Okay, so on our hands and knees, you can use fists on the mat if your wrists don't like being flat, or if that doesn't work for you either, you can come down to your forearms. We'll start off with just a little cat-cow. So exhaling, arching, inhaling, and unarching. This little arch and curl, okay? And we don't need to go to an end range or force or push anything to happen here. Just think about your breath and your movement of your spine being synchronized. Okay, exhale, pull into belly, inhale, drop belly, okay? So we'll do one more of each here. Good. Nicely done. All right. And then we'll go ahead and tuck our toes under on the mat. So you've got your toes on the mat as if you were in high-heeled shoes. Now, if you've had any kind of foot surgery where you can't weight bear on your toes like this, you can try doing this from the tops of your feet. I think it's a lot harder though. So we'll pull our shoulder blades down, pull the belly in, and then without changing anything in your spine, lift your knees an inch. Okay, I know, it's hard, huh? So just keep your head back, keep your shoulder blades down, and you can come down and back up with your knees as often as you need to. So if you feel like you've got to just like reset anything, go ahead and do that. This is a quadruped plank, and it's harder than a regular plank, in my opinion. Good. And we'll just hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then bring your knees down. Take your knees apart with your toes together. Sit your hips back into a wide-legged child's pose. You can stack your fists on top of each other. Have your elbows wide so that you can put your forehead on your fists and keep your spine fairly neutral. And just take another breath here. Good. And then we'll come back up to quadruped. And so if you're having trouble with your wrists, then you will stay in quadruped and bend your elbows back as you lower your upper body down and then push back up. So you see, you can actually lower your forearms down to the mat. Maybe you can't see that. I will adjust this so you can see better. Down to my mat, right? So we're just bending back. So the forearm is all the way down on the mat and then pressing back up again. So this is the most gentle tricep push-up that I can invent for you, okay? If you want more, you walk your knees back, and now you're in a knees down plank, and maybe you're not going to go all the way to the floor with your forearms. And of course, you might be stronger than me, and if that's the case, that's awesome. And then if you want to tuck your toes and lift your knees and do a tricep push-up in a full plank, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, so however we're positioned, we want to pick that place where we can work our muscles and keep our abdominals engaged. Okay, so one more, and then we'll go ahead, take the knees apart, toes together, and press back into a child's pose. And while you're in here, in the child's pose, you can do some wrist rotations. I like to do push-ups on the kitchen counter. That is a nice place to do it. It's got a nice handhold, and it's an incline plank, so it's a little easier to get your full range. And that being said, in this environment, if we go back into our quadruped or all fours, now to do your chest push-up, you point your fingers in and your elbows out a little bit. So it's this position, okay? And then we'll just starting with our most gentle variation, lower your chest down and push it back up again, okay? And so you can step this out into a knees down plank, okay? Or you can tuck your toes and lift your knees. So let's try to get 10 of whatever variation you're doing. And 9 and 10. Good. And then we'll go ahead and bring the knees back in. Take your knees wide, toes apart, stack your fists, and put your forehead down. And we'll take a couple of breaths and rest. One more breath. Perfect job. Now it's time for our standing work. So we'll make our way up. We'll take our stick with us. Turn our camera around. Okay. And standing at the front of your mat, make sure there's nothing behind you. We can be holding the stick in our hands with our palms down. And then bring it up to just below shoulder height. So we want to make sure that our shoulders, so we're able to keep them down, okay? And really pull the shoulder blades down our back. Zip up your front line, and then we'll step back with one set of toes. See if you can land on your ball of your foot with your heel lifted, and then forward to the standing leg. We'll switch legs. Step back and forward. Now again, use your stick as a kind of an organizational, cue, right? So if you're seeing that you're sort of wavering the stick sideways, you'll know that there's some kind of compensation going on in your trunk. And our goal is to keep our stick level, because hopefully that means that our shoulders and our trunk are level as we're working our legs. Keep your front line from pubic bone to navel to sternum zipped up. So think about your pelvic floor here. Okay, maybe pull your pelvic floor up a bit. Not a huge, effortful movement, just enough to feel like you're supported underneath. And we'll do one more on each side. And then step forward, lower your arms. Let's do some shoulder rolls. It's surprising how holding your arms steady like that is a lot of work in the shoulder muscle, right? It's not a heavy stick. Our arms weigh something. So let's go ahead and take a breath, zip everything up and in, and we'll step back with one foot. Bring your stick to just below chest height, and then inhale to rotate to one side. See if you can maintain the connection of the center of your chest with the center of your stick, as far as a line. And then exhale to center. Inhale, rotate to the other side. Exhale to center. One more on each side. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, center. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, center. Take a breath. Pull the stick to you as you exhale and step forward. Take another breath. Exhale, the other leg steps back. Good. And we inhale to rotate. Exhale, center. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, center. Staying zipped up or rotating around the long axis of our spine. Last one. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, center. Pull the stick to you as you come forward. And we'll pause and do some shoulder rolls. Nice. Okay. Now exhale, step back with the first leg. Good. Pull your shoulders down, zip up. See if you can bring your stick up to at least forehead height, if not higher, keeping your shoulders down. All right. Now, your head is like a picture in the frame of your arms, side bending. Inhale. Exhale, come to center. Inhale, side bend. Exhale, come to center. Inhale, side bend. Exhale, center. Inhale, side bend. Exhale, center. Lower the stick, pull it to you as you step forward. Shoulder rolls. Step back with the other leg. Land on your toes. Zip up your front line. Shoulders are down. Bring the stick up to a place where you can keep your shoulders down. Make the picture of your head within the frame of your arms. And then inhale, side bend. Exhale, center. Inhale, side bend. Exhale, center. Good. Inhale, side bend. Exhale, center. Inhale, side bend. Exhale, center. Take a breath. Exhale, pull the stick to you as you step forward in shoulder rolls. Good. Now, if your stick is short, just set it aside. If it's long, you could use it next to you for a little balance aid. If you feel like you do need a balance aid for standing on one leg, find a wall or a counter, okay? So we'll shift to one leg, squeeze into the glute of the standing leg and bring your other leg up to a level that you can hold on to the position of your thigh. Then extend and bend your leg 10 times. If you don't need to hold on, go ahead and do this without holding on. If you do, it's completely fine. Just focus on the strength that you're building in the standing buttock and the working quad. Good. And then once you've done 10, step that leg back and give it a stretch in the front of the hip. So we zip up, pubic bone to navel, and just pause for a moment. Keep your low back long, tailbone's heavy. Good. And then step forward. Shift your weight to the other side without dropping your hips. You squeeze into the standing glute. Lift up your thigh, go a place that you can hold on to. Extend and bend 10 times. 3, 4, come to balance or stay safe, holding on. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now take that leg, step it all the way back onto the toes, zipping up your front line. finding a stretch here. Just take a few breaths. And then we'll step forward. One more thing in standing before we finish up with our lovely mermaid. We'll bring our first leg up. So we've got our glutes solid. Now externally rotate at the thigh. And your movement of extending your leg will be forward, not to the side. Okay? So you end up with your toes out, your heels in. So it's kind of like a little frog kick, little extension straight forward. 3. We're doing 10, 4, 5, 6. It's a different muscle. 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this time, take that leg back and allow the heel to come down. So your toes are slightly outward and the heel is slightly inward so that you're stretching in a different way. It's kind of like a warrior one in yoga. Okay. So different quad muscle, right? It's the quad muscle that's responsible for terminal knee extension. In other words, getting your knee completely straight. Very important to do that. Okay, one more breath here. And then we'll step forward, shift our weight over, tighten onto the glute of the standing leg, bring your other leg up, externally rotate it, and extend the leg, keeping external rotation straight forward. 4, 5, 6, 7. If your leg's going out to the side, you're still doing your rectus femoris. You need the leg going straight forward in external rotation in order to get the vastus medialis. Okay, last one. And then step that leg back and allow the heel to come down with your leg, with your toes pointed slightly outward, kind of like your warrior one legs. If you're not a yoga fan, then you won't know what that means, but it's just a heel is flat, toes are out. So we're stretching kind of more medial in the upper thigh. Very nice. You all did a great job in the standing work. Balance improves when we work on it, doesn't it? So let's go ahead and step on forward and we'll come back down to our mats. I have a friend was one of my favorite yoga teachers, actually, and she used to say, balance is a skill that's found and lost and found again. And I love that. Let's pull our shoulders down, come into your Z sit. We'll bring one arm up toward the ceiling, take a breath, bend your elbow as you come on over into a side stretch and breathe. And it's true, balance is a skill, and actually the act of balancing can be thought of as a continuous adjustment of not losing balance. It's not a static thing, and we do need to practice it. One more breath here, and then as you exhale, come on up, press the floor away, see if you can balance here for a moment. Good. Now hold on to the other shin and bring your arm up and counter the stretch. Take a little breath here. And then come back to balance. Gracefully float back down to the mat. Come into your side stretch again. If you're okay moving into rotation, you breathe and open your heart toward the ceiling. Big exhale gives us room to move our rib cage around, and we come into our mermaid. If the bottom leg doesn't feel good, go onto your back and cross that leg over in a figure 4 stretch. Okay. So stay here and breathe and soften our gaze. Separate your teeth. Soften the jaw. Maybe lift the corners of the mouth. Feel how our breath moves our body in a very subtle way. Let's take one more breath. We'll inhale to unwind. Exhale, press the floor away. We'll swing our legs around. And breathe and reach for length. And exhale over. And take a breath. And take another breath. And press the floor away, coming up to balance. Hold on to your shin with your other hand and counter stretch. And then come back to balance. Gracefully float back down to the side stretch. And if you feel like you want to go into rotation today, inhale, open your heart. Exhale, pull into belly so your rib cage has room to rotate. And we'll just breathe. Again, see where we can soften in our face, shoulders, mind, eyes, jaw. Breathing. Then we'll take one more breath here. And then we'll inhale to unwind. Exhale to come on up. Good. You did a great job. Let's keep our shoulders down and our abs in till I see you again. Okay. Nicely done.